Recently, the New York Times published this article titled "Syrian Children Saved a German Village and a Village Saved Itself." 4 years after Germany took in over 1 million migrants, integration is quietly working one village at a time. And so when I first saw this, all I could think is that they are literally celebrating the fact Germany is being colonised by third world people, one village at a time. That's literally what they're doing here. And so the article itself isn't that interesting. What they do is they utilise this microscopic perspective, this close-in view of certain Syrians who have moved to Germany. And the whole idea there is they want to form this emotional connection. They show you lots of pictures and they give you their names. You've got Kamala, Borhan, Hamza, Noor, Tasnin, Ritaj, Rafif, Rorawa, I don't know, Big Mohammed and Little Mohammed. There's always lots of Mohammeds. And so yeah, it's basically saying these people are really nice, you know their names, you know their faces, how can you hate them now? Similar to how they associate the Holocaust with Anne Frank. It's like, you can't hate a little girl, she's a little girl. Are you saying you are against this sweet little Jewish girl in the loft writing her diary in ballpoint pen? How can you hate this time-travelling Jew? Are you some sort of monster? Are you a Nazi? So yeah, it's very simple. Put a child at the front of your movement and then you cannot be attacked. But the issue, of course, you have is that all of this is just anecdotes, and anyone can use anecdotes to tell any narrative they want, but it's not data. Thankfully, in the article, they do give you one piece of useful information. The rest of it, 99%, is complete guff, but this is quite telling. So it goes, their story is a tale about befriending the other, even as 1 in 4 people in the town voted for the far-right Alternative for Germany in recent elections. Naughty, naughty Germans. It is also evidence that beneath the fears fanning the populist flame, the emotive language you see here, in Europe's biggest democracy, the integration of hundreds of thousands of migrants is quietly working one village at a time. And now here we go. Across the country, more than 1 in 3 are now employed. Government statistics show. So 1/3 are employed. The real story is 2/3 are not employed. Now, that's the really big part of this entire article, because they're showing you there 4 years after these people came to Germany, 2/3 are still not in work. So currently, this experiment is a net negative for the German people. Categorically, the German taxpayer is funding this. What's also interesting is, as it says, government statistics show. Now, who was it who let in these people? Who opened the gates of Germany for over 1 million migrants, refugees? It was the government. It was Angela Merkel. So who has an incentive to make it look as if this is working out, as if it's actually benefiting Germany? The government. Again, the government have a massive incentive. So do you think it's possible the government is slightly massaging these stats to give the impression it's actually working? Yes, I do. I believe it's very likely they are fudging these stats. But what's terrifying is, even though they are fudging, they are messing around with the numbers, they still can only show 1/3 are in work. So in reality, we're talking about maybe 10, 15, 20%, if that. And also, of those people, many, I imagine, will have been given these government jobs, these jobs to make it look as if they are working, which are completely pointless. They aren't productive, they aren't helping Germany, they aren't building the GDP. They're just literally, you're doing something. You're digging a hole and filling the hole back in, like Stefan Molyneux says. But it's not really a job. And actually, any public sector job is not a job in the sense that you're not paying taxes, because all your income is tax money. So yeah, the amount of people, Syrians, coming in who are doing jobs that aren't public sector jobs, I imagine is no more than 10%. So this categorically is not working for Germany. Something else to mention alongside this is the fact that Syria's IQ, their average IQ, is in the low 80s, whereas Germany's is almost 100. So that is one standard deviation difference. That is massive. We're talking blacks versus whites in the United States. That's really big. And so these people, according to that, they are not going to replace the Germans. The word replace is kind of stupid because you can't replace Germans. The Germans are what they are because they have evolved in that area for thousands and thousands of years. That's why the term colonisation makes more sense, because these new people moving in, they are just completely different and they will change Germany in many ways. One of these is democracy. So the globalists go crazy about this term democracy, and you have the Washington Post, democracy dies in darkness. And in reality, I actually agree with that, because the darker Germany gets, the less democracy you're going to have. That's literally how it is, you know? The reason you had Bashar, or the reason you have Bashar al-Assad in Syria, is because they have a below 90 average IQ. And you also had Saddam Hussein in Iraq, you had Gaddafi in Libya. These places, they need a dictator, they need a strong man, someone who has lots of guns, has the army, and they are fully in control. These people, Syrians, third world people, Africans, they can't depend, they can't even understand democracy. It's very complicated. Imagine trying to explain to someone with an IQ around 80 the difference between first past the post, single transferable vote, additional member system, alternative vote plus, etc. I mean, even I don't understand this. This is all gobbledygook to me. But someone who's like 75, 80 IQ, they don't get it. It's all nonsense. What they do get is a man, always a man, a dictator, someone who's in charge, and if you don't do what they say, they will kill you. They will put a bullet in the back of your head. I get that. I'm good. You know, that's very simple for a low IQ person to understand. Simply who's in control, who has the power. This depends on people having a high IQ. You need to have around 100 average IQ to have a fully functioning democracy that's not corrupt. Because of course, the lower you have the IQ, the more corruption happens. People are willing to be paid off for doing this, that and the other. So you can't have it. And therefore, as Germany becomes less white and their IQ plummets, you will have less democracy. It will become more corrupt until eventually you have no more democracy. You just have little dictatorships. Just in conclusion here, I thought I would also mention the fact we had the New Zealand shooting happening earlier this year, and in response to that, the New York Times put out a couple of articles, one of them explaining what is the Great Replacement, this conspiracy theory mentioned in the El Paso Manifesto. Conspiracy theory guy. We also had the white extinction conspiracy theory is bonkers. The New Zealand attacker wanted you to think white people face existential decline. They don't. And I am so glad we have someone called Farhad Manjoo. Yeah, Farhad Manjoo can tell me that white extinction's not happening. Ignore the fact that literally every single white majority nation has a below replacement fertility rate. Every single one, even the Eastern European nations, all of it, it's all below 2.1. We are, as of this point, we are going extinct if nothing changes. But for some reason, it's bonkers. And so yeah, the point basically here is it's either conspiracy theory or it's globalist policy. Or you have the New York Times celebrating the fact Germany is being colonised. So they have to pick one, and they really do, because this is psychological warfare on the Goyim, and this is why you have certain crazy people doing bad stuff, because they're sent mad by this. These contradictory messages, conspiracy theory, globalist policy, and constantly switching back and forth, back and forth. Like I say, it has to stop. It really does. So, anyway, please let me know your thoughts on this, and what do you think life will be like in Germany in, say, 20, 30, 40 years' time? Like, dislike, subscribe, unsubscribe, please comment. Ilu Sassoon, peace out.